pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll have a roll call.
Mayor Hassler.
Here.
Alderman Smith. Alderwoman Johnson. Here. Alderman Donovan.
Here.
Alderman Jokers.
Here.
Alderman Eidman. Alderman Rainey.
Here.
Alderman Prince. Here. Alderwoman Armbruster. Here. Mayor, we have a quorum.
Very good.
Need to amend the agenda.
Yeah, we're going to need a moment to, or Happy's going to speak, but we're going to have to amend the revised agenda here, so.
So we're amending the old business section to include Resolution 2022-20. That's the one you passed on Monday. We had the county commissioners came by today and said there needs to be a correction to what we included in there, that being the administration and management. If the county puts in for the grant, they have to administrate it and manage. So our first thought was that we were going to have to do it. They want that stricken from it. We just passed it, but we didn't find out till today. We need to make that change, so we'll bring that up at old business.
And this is, I just want to mention that it's considered an emergency due to the short timeline between the passage of the resolution when it needs to be circulated to the proper grant authorities. So we need, because we don't have that on our agenda, but since this is emergency, we just need to have that in the minutes that would be the reason why you're amending the agenda without posting it with the 24 hours notice. Yep. So if we can get a motion to approve the amended revised agenda, adding that to old business.
A motion to approve the amended revised agenda as stated.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
$1 million deduction, kind of like you do on your taxes. We don't get $10 million, but that would be our full amount of money, could be actually used for general fund type purposes. So we've already got this tranche dedicated to water, sewer, and general fund stuff. So it has changed, and it will make it easier for us to manage. But we'll talk about that later. Stormwater consultant RFQ is out for submittals. Those will be due February 18th. That'll give the engineering firm some time to put their package together. Then we will go through, look at what the submittals are, and then eventually go either interview the companies. If somebody's just outstanding, we'll bring it back to the board to look at, and then we'll negotiate what that price would be. So you're looking at an hourly, time and materials type of price. And then we can decide what areas we want to do surveys on, the hydrology. If we get any submittals for subdivisions, they can review that information, make sure that whatever the developer has submitted to an engineer, we can have it verified, make sure everything is okay, and other things that have to do with stormwater. So we're just going to make this an on-call engineering firm, so we don't have to go out every issue that it would be with stormwater. And with the River Trails Program grant application that's on in our resolutions that we're putting together, we're going to have a short survey that Ashley's helping me with for people to be able to fill out. We'll put it on our website, put it on Facebook pages, to give people a chance, because it's something that we need to put in the application. Gives us a few points. So it's important. We're going to catch up with what people see as the need up at Pier Marquette Park. So we will probably send you a link to that so you can fill it out if you wish. Any questions about anything else? Okay.
Very good. Takes us to our staff reports. David?
Good evening. You've got my report there. Got a Heritage Commission meeting hopefully next week if we get some applications. You notice on the building department, we do have the old plans organized downstairs. Cabinet's complete. It's a lot better thanks to Jean, Happy, and some donations. So it's very well organized. Got an appointment to Board of Adjustment on the agenda tonight. So the consent agenda, thank you for that. Everything else is listed there. The past month has held quite a few meetings involving either community or economic development, so more to come on most of that, but it was a good month for those type items, and hopefully we'll see and hear some of it come to fruition. Yeah.
Thank you, David.
Yep, you're welcome.
Chief Steiger?
Good evening, everybody. Got my report. I'll touch on a few things as we go through. The total responses for the year was 206, which is down 14. Our peak in the last few years was 2018. We had 237. I think the reason for the reduction is some of the changes the ambulance district has made in requests for us. So EMS calls, I think, is where the drop has been on our calls. I'm happy to say that we did add 2 guys to our staff in December. And I do have 2 applications right now. I'm getting ready to take through the background check process. So we're working on it. I did send an email to the members of the committee, and we're going to try to set up a meeting here real shortly. I've been doing a lot of background checking on other neighbor agencies to see what we have. So I'll have a packet together, be able to give them the next week or 2. Monthly training meeting was on turnout gear inspection. We do that annually, and that way we inspect our gear, see who needs to get their gear replaced and stuff like that. So I should be coming to the board next month for a request to purchase the 4 sets of gear that we do every year, but I want to find out who needs it right now. The LED lights, I know it's been a long time coming. We finally got a call from the company again, and there was some questions about some model numbers or serial numbers on some lights. Right now we're approved for $6,000 worth of rebate, and there's some numbers that have to be sent back in to get reevaluated as far as what that is. So we have at least $6,000 coming back for the rebate for the LED switchover. The pickup truck, I am happy to report I just got back from St. Louis with the new pickup that we ordered in March. So it is officially in to be a good winter project for us to work on, get the brush truck up and in service by spring. The building and grounds, when we did the walkthrough, I did point out that we did have some leaks in the roof, and the group that was there asked me to go ahead and do some research. So I included in your packet the research that was given to me. I did have a few questions. They finally came back and answered them. They are saying that what we need to do for sure is the basic, that they also recommend the additional, which would be an additional cost over and above the basic. But obviously we can go out and get more opinions and things. It was just to give you guys an idea of what a roofing company thought about our roof. So once we figure out what we want to do with that, just give me a direction on what you want me to do with it. The fire radio, I put nothing new to report, but I did talk to Felix, and he attended a 911 meeting the other day, and their survey they're doing is on track to have some kind of report ready and available around April-ish. So they'll be able to tell us a little bit more about what they can do to improve radio communications around the area. The grants, the radio grant for the $25,000 is on the desk at state level now, waiting for the check to be issued, so we should have that hopefully in the next few weeks. And the conservation grant, we did get that this year. That's a 50% match, and all the stuff that I said I was going to purchase is on order. With vendors the way they are right now, it's taking some time to get some of that stuff in, but happy to say it's all been ordered and on its way, hopefully. The local and state mutual aid, I do report there that we did take a truck down to the city of Cape to help cover for a firefighter funeral. And like I said in my notes here, to me, that speaks volumes of the respect that this department has, that they're willing to ask us to come down and help cover it. And we did not deplete the coverage of the city, because I did take some guys with me, and they took vacation from their full-time jobs to go do it. So we didn't deplete what we had here. So that was, to me, a big shot in the arm of what they thought of our department, that they asked us to do it. We were among 5 departments, St. Genevieve, Farmington, Kemet, Sykeston, and can't remember which the other one was, but there was 5 departments that was asked to come down and cover their city. So to me, that's a big shot in the arm for us. Any questions on anything? We did take the ladder truck down there, and I had notified Farmington and Perryville also that they would be on call if something would happen. And the reason we took that is that's the only truck that's capable of carrying more than 2 guys. So if I'd have taken a different truck down, then we'd have had to take a truck plus a pickup truck or something to support it. And it also had a set of rescue tools, so if we did have to do an extrication or something, we were kind of an all-in-one unit, which is what most career departments do. But we still had our rescue truck up here for rescue, so we had everything covered.
Okay, back to the roof.
Yeah.
So we have some leaks.
Yes.
So that needs to be a priority, especially going into spring of the year. We want to, that's something we need to jump on now. I mean, you got to watch the weather, but however we want to deal with this, it needs to be taken care of.
I agree. I'm looking for direction. If you guys want me to go try to get some more roofers to look at it and give second
Who's
opinions.
this company you got? Are they?
This was actually recommended by Dave. They're doing some work up at the school district, I think, or...
Okay.
Yeah.
As long as we don't have to go out for bid and we're comfortable with that, then I think we go with it. If you're...
We have to go out for bid.
Oh, well, then we need to get on it and get with it. Yeah. So,
Okay. I'll
let's
try to make some contacts, and we'll get something together, and we'll try to go down for bids right away.
Yeah, so that's an unfunded capital expense, just so you're aware.
Okay, I'll start working on that.
You have something to say?
You went back to the roofs, I want to go back to lights. Is it too early to see what kind of cost savings we are, or
We can look at it.
you have an idea?
Not off the top of my head. The problem we have with it is, here for the last couple of years, we've been using the firehouse more for things, so our electric usage has gone up, so I can't really identify that the savings is because of the lights or the change in cost. I can give it Sue.
Phases too, so it's hard to...
Yeah, we did it over like a month period. But we can talk to Sue and see what our bills have been averaging. It's about the best I can tell you. As we have been having, like, over the last year, we've had park board meetings out there and some other meetings too. So we've had increased use of the station, which would potentially cost more for the actual usage. But I'm sure me and Sue can put something together and show you what our bills have been for the last so many months.
Paul, I had one concern. You talked about doing that now, that drop stop seam, that is a temperature sensitive.
Well, I understand on the
Right.
weather, but we need to be done
Right.
as soon as the
rest
weather
of those-
permits.
Those deck tight boots, you can
Yeah.
put them on at any time.
Yeah, well, that's, like I say, that's something we don't want to,
But you want to get it approved? And,
yeah, we want to get ready to go in the
be
spring of the year, because you get rain and, we don't want damage inside because we messing around here, not messing around, but waiting around. So, yeah.
I'll have to come up with a couple more roofing companies that are capable of doing metal roofs, but I can reach out and start touching base and get ready for a bid process.
That'd be good.
Do we need to pick an option to put out for bid? Or can the bid just go off both of these 2 options? Or do we want to decide if we want to do the base bid or go ahead and for $1,000 more include alternate 1?
I would think you'd want to do both and get it completed, or you're going to end up with, fix temporarily something, you're still going to have to go with the other.
Well, that's what I was getting at. I mean, they got a base bid here.
But the alternate one is in addition to
fixes
the
it
base
up.
bid.
In addition
So
to
it's
the base,
another
yes.
almost 5,000.
Oh, it's an additional.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of the questions that he addressed in the email, because I was unclear on that too. And the alternate 1 would be in addition to the base price.
Yeah,
I mean, my problem with only going with the base bid, if they notice something or something else that needs attention, why wait till there's a problem with it to fix it?
I agree. I'd like to be proactive on it.
But he is talking about cutting it into our new paint job,
Do it.
so that'll have
The
to be
new paint will
addressed.
match though. It's not painted yet.
Right, but I mean, that's not as included in this.
Oh, I see.
Did he mention anything about repainting or?
No, it was just to seal up the leaks is what we were talking about. If we were to try to color match the new paint, we'd be looking at the entire roof would have to be, because the entire roof on both sections, high and low, is faded. So if you actually look at it from the street as you drive in, you have a nice bright shiny side of the building and the roofs are sun faded from 15 years already. I'm sure they would do some touch up around if they have a different color boot, but there was no plans to paint the whole roof or anything.
Okay. Kenny, you have everything you need with us?
Yeah,
Where to go?
I can
Okay.
start making some contacts with some
Yeah.
companies, have them come up, give additional
Yeah.
ideas and see how they're used
Sure.
combined, and then, yeah, we'll work on that.
All right, great. Any other questions? Thank you very much, sir.
Thanks.
Jeff?
Good evening and Happy New Year to everyone. We're off to a good start in 2022. A lot of recognition for St. Genevieve over the last few weeks. National recognition by USA Today as a #2 best small town cultural scene was well received by all of those that we obviously shared that information across social media. That was quite impressive. And we followed that with national recognition by AAA as the #2 top Christmas town in the Midwest. That included places like Chicago and other major cities. So it wasn't just dedicated to small towns. But we finished #2 behind St. Charles. According to the St. Genevieve Herald, we just found out just yesterday that the St. Genevieve Golf Club was named as the 42nd best course in the country. And so that obviously is a eye-opener as well, and certainly something that we can hang our hat on for moving forward and attracting people to the area here in the spring, summer months.
Like 3,000 golf courses that they pulled or something, wasn't it? Or wasn't it something?
There were over 3,000 different aspects to what they were looking for, I think is the way that was worded.
I just wanted to put the 42nd into context, because that doesn't sound very good, but when you're looking at 3,000 other contenders, it looks real good.
It's very impressive across the country. And I know that Eric is going to have a full story on that with his details. This is just the information that I've received immediately. We conducted our first tourism department quarterly marketing workshop yesterday, which was a big success, I think, for the first time. I'll give you some more details about that in a second. We've also been nominated for the Missouri Humanities Featured 5 Communities, and they do that annually, where we would be included in podcasts as well as featured communities that they do with different publications and a number of things. So we were just nominated, but the voting for that begins in April, so we won't know the results for probably the latter part of the year. Certainly, Welcome Center numbers, that we finished at the end of the year with 18,051, which is a little better than what we expected because of the weather-related things that were going on at the end of the year and some uncertainty. We thought that maybe that might fall off just a little bit through the holidays, but not necessarily. We did finish with just a little over 1,000 people visiting the Welcome Center that checked in for the month of December. Our marketing workshop was, primary goal is conversion for businesses from when we attract tourists into the communities, for them to have a better success in converting that tourist into a sale. And obviously, we want to look at the retail bottom line. And so we felt like that this was something that, as I've taken the last 3 months to talk about individually with different business owners and different leaders of groups and organizations, they've all said that we don't know how to grow. We don't know where we should go. And so marketing seemed to be a common denominator that everyone was in need. So that's why we put together a quarterly marketing workshop, is to help them with some ideas. Many people didn't know the difference between a Facebook profile and a page and what the purpose was. So we covered quite a few aspects of marketing in general yesterday. That was well attended. I think we had about 25 people who were in attendance yesterday morning. Common Grounds was good enough to allow us to have the upstairs there at their facility, and so that would be a perfect setting for us. We do have a second quarter. The workshop is scheduled for Wednesday, March 30th. If any of you would like to attend, that would be fantastic. We'll be naming the location here very, very soon.
Jeff, if you don't mind if I interrupt, I was going to ask you, how do folks learn about these workshops? Do you have an email list that you maintain?
We are currently putting that together.
Okay.
Some of it is social media, some of it is just referral. So obviously, if you have some businesses and organizations that you'd like to extend an invitation,
Okay, they can just contact you for more information?
they can contact me, and we'll be posting that as well as that information. This was a nice test for the first time, and for 20 to 25 turnout, first inaugural turnout was I thought was quite impressive.
And it seemed like on social media it seemed to be well received by those who attended. I saw some comments from them, and they seemed to praise it pretty well. So
very good. And it was in this conversation and coffee is what we branded it, and that was to keep it from being a presentation and mind-numbing numbers. It was about let's talk and let's communicate better. So, and that's how we actually ended the last 30 to 45 minutes of the workshop, was discussing about there's a realization that we need to communicate better internally. And before we can ask people to come to our community, we all need to be on the same page. And so that was brought up by all of those that were in attendance. And so obviously we're all on the same page with that idea, is that needs to happen, and we're going to work towards a better job of that so that we can provide ultimately better experience for those who come and visit our town. Facebook is reflective of a lot of good things. We've certainly had a lot of good things to announce and to interact with people through the fourth quarter, especially. Holiday Christmas Festival was very successful, great numbers there. Our total Facebook likes at 13,258. The followers exceed that, which is fantastic. 13,911. Usually those are just the reverse, but followers are obviously people who are engaged and interested in what's going on in St. Genevieve. Our post reach, especially with some of the other numbers there, that's holding very solid, very strong percentage-wise as far as increase, but the post reach numbers, those were 15 to 20,000 range moderately when I began this job. And so we're now reaching 89,443 people, some of our posts, because we've changed the format of some of those to video primarily. So producing those elements, more consistency is paid off. Great. Couple of events that are coming up. The Chocolate Walk, I think we've got another day or so for you to buy your tickets. So if you haven't done that, that's Saturday, February 5th. And then also the King's Ball is also coming up on that same evening.
Very good. Thank you, Jeff. Takes us down to our COVID discussion. So I've got some notes from Jennifer Mueller at the Health Department. Just pass on. She wanted me to she wasn't able to attend the meeting, so she sent this information. Current CDC recommendation for COVID. For a positive COVID case, stay home for 5 days from onset of symptoms. If on day 6 your symptoms are gone, then you may return to work school wearing a mask for the additional 5 days. For a fully vaccinated household contact, you may continue to go to work, school, but please wear a mask and monitor for symptoms for 10 days. For an unvaccinated household contact, stay home for 5 days and monitor for symptoms. If no symptoms on day 6, you may return to work, school, wearing a mask for an additional 5 days. If symptoms present, get tested or treat yourself as a positive case. Follow the above guidelines. Current symptoms being reported. Some people have one, some have them all. Stomach issues, vomiting, diarrhea, headache, eye discomfort, pressure behind the eyes, sore throat, runny nose, stuffy nose, congestion, body aches, fever. Do not use this as an indicator. It's not always a symptom, but it's possible. Dizziness, chest discomfort, shortness of breath, cough. The information provided by the CDC as to why they lowered the number of days from 10 to 5 when cases are so high nationwide. They stated in a study done in the UK, most people are infectious 1 day prior to symptoms starting and for an additional 5 days. Only 31% of people are infectious a few days later, which is why they decided to lower it to 5 days, and if symptoms improved, mask the additional 5 days. Testing sites are available. Either Bloomsdale or the Plaza Walk-In Clinics are doing the testing if you're ill. The hospital has a separate testing site if you are well and need a test for school, work, events, etc. You can certainly take a home test, and if positive, she recommends that you follow the above guidance. FYI information, in August, when Delta was circulating, the health department's cases got up to 248. They hadn't seen a number that high since this all started in March of 2020, and their highest case rate was November 2020 with 700 plus cases. You're getting upwards of 20 to 30 or more positive cases a day being reported. At the end of the day on January 12th, they had a total of 270 cases already for the month. So that's just the month of January. They're likely to hit 500 by the end of the month. For the most part, people are faring pretty well. They're seeing as many vaccinated as unvaccinated getting sick, but it does seem the vaccinated are less sick. And she spoke with a rep from the Mercy organization who stated COVID hospitalizations are 75% unvaccinated, so they continue to recommend being vaccinated. In regards to which variant is circulating, it's hard to know for sure. They're doing some wastewater sampling in counties surrounding us, and both Delta and Omicron are being reported. They continue to ask people to be smart and do the right thing. Not feeling well, please stay home and avoid being in crowds. Once you feel better, then resume your normal activities. Common sense is all that we ask, she said. And with the flu, if you're interested, after all that, they continue to receive positive flu cases as well. So just be aware that's going around. So our numbers right now, we're over the 5 metric for requiring masks in City Hall for visitors. We are at, I think, 27 on a daily average. 10 was the number that we were using as kind of an indicator of whether to start requiring. So if the board is comfortable, we're going to go for putting masks back on for a while for guests coming into our facilities, and hope that this number goes down, but don't see that happening in the next couple of weeks. So, any questions? Okay.
Thank you, Happy.
Thanks. And thanks to Jennifer Mueller for passing that along.
Absolutely. Are there any committee reports?
I don't have one today. Happy to take care of it.
Yeah. Are there any public comments? Okay. No public comments. Takes us to the consent agenda. To approve.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you. Now, Happy, that takes us to old business. Now we have some old business now.
We do have some old business. The old business.
One page.
Just take one and pass it down.
Take one and pass it down.
How many are left on it?
So we'll have to do 2 readings of this? No, just a resolution. That's right. This is just a yea or nay.
I wasn't sure if anybody caught it.
So what we've removed is administration and management out of the whereas, and section 3 is the other part that is pulled out. There is a, so our numbering was up to 5 sections, so now we only have 4 sections. So again, this is based on the recommendation from the county commission, who's submitting the grant for St. Genevieve County. So we're looking for a motion to approve and
Approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Very good, thank you.
thank you.
Takes us to new business, first reading of bill number 4467, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to execute a proposal for professional services with Cochran Engineering for a 15-year street preventative pavement maintenance plan. Move approval.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Takes us to bill number 4468, first reading, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement between the city of St. Genevieve and St. Genevieve County for the county to provide 911 dispatching services for the calendar year 2022.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Takes us to bill number 4469, an ordinance authorizing the purchase of a 2022 Ford Ranger Super Cab 4x4 for the water department from Joe Mawkins Ford in the amount not to exceed $25,611.
Have a revised edition at your seats because I had listed Don Brown as in section 1 of the ordinance, and it's Joe Mawkins. So, hey.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Motion for,
Oh, go ahead.
motion, second again?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
This be the second reading of bill number 4469, an ordinance authorizing the purchase of a 2022 Ford Ranger Super Cab 4x4 for the water department from Joe Mawkins Ford in the amount not to exceed $25,611.
Motion to approve.
Second. Have a roll call, please.
Alderwoman Alderwoman
I've
Johnson.
been called a lot
Yes.
before.
Alderman Donovan.
Yes.
Alderman Jokers.
Yes.
Alderman Rainey.
Yes.
Alderman Prince. Alderwoman Armbruster.
Yes.
6 yes, 0 no's, 2 absent. Bill number 4469 now becomes ordinance 4387.
Thank you. Is there any other business? Any communication we need to talk about? If there's no other business, I'll call this meeting adjourned. All in favor?
Aye.
There you go, Happy.
So we have been talking to Greg Hilbert, who's been, you've seen all the reconstructions taking place at the old Lucent building, built best, known by, I think, 1,000 other names. And they have a section of reconstruction that they're doing now up on Blaine to make it easier for trucks to access all of the buildings that are down there. And Greg Gilbert made a presentation to David Bova and I about what he would like for the city to assist with, and I'll let him get the details. And I don't know if did you bring any paperwork or anything? Okay. So at least it'll, little more descriptive than what I tried to include. That was just a rough sketch that I put together to pass out.
Should be enough for everybody. Here's some bigger drawings too, guys. You don't need to see it, you've seen it.
It seemed like you had frost cracks.
Is this the same? Thank you.
Is there enough for everybody? you guys can see on the west end of our property where Blaine and 61 intersection is. We're looking to put in a drive, well, we've already put the entrance in. What we're trying to do is get all of Buckeye's truck traffic off of Market Street. And it's one of their wishes to have the city have a little skin in the game and try to get the first 250 foot of that street, which was the old Gettingen property there that we purchased, and put in a city street, a paved street, for these guys to get in and out of the property in exchange for driving on Market Street. And so we've already we've done all the excavation, we've put in the base rock, basically ready for pavement, concrete curb and gutter. We've talked with MoDOT, we've got permission for the intersection. Right now Blaine's only got a 40-foot intersection. We actually bring that to a 60-foot to allow for the bigger truck traffic. And what we're looking to do is see if you guys are willing to jump on board and help us with this project. We've got Eric Hasty here, he's from Buckeyes, he's their CFO. He's bringing a lot of jobs to this town, and finally doing something with this building is also a big step for this community. They currently are occupying the front half of our property with carriage house cabinets, which you guys are already aware of. That particular entity is going to bring in about 18 to 20 jobs, but when the logistics company moves in back, that's got potential to have 24 to 30 more jobs. So you're looking at 40 to 50 jobs in St. Genevieve just from these guys. So the truck traffic that you can see in that handout I gave you, there's going to be pretty significant truck traffic coming in. There's close to, just right now, there are already about 20 trucks a day. When logistics comes in, there'll be another 20 to 25. And if we do this building expansion that's shown on that big drawing on the north side of the property, that traffic would pretty well double. So.
Greg, could you show us on this map how far down your 270-foot goes?
So it's labeled 236 on the drawing, but if you follow the center line, it's about 260 and some change. It goes to the back property line of where those houses are off Blaine Street.
So all the way from 61 to the back of that house right there?
No, it'd be right here. So it would actually widen out right here. We bought that lot from Ron and Annette Gettinger, and that's the other catch here is, we'd like to recoup our cost in acquiring the property, along with you guys also putting in this roadway. Those bids that you have, I've got with Bowman's and Jokers, who you guys get bids from all the time, I'm sure. Those are on the high end because those bids do include all the excavation and rock hauling. We've already done that out of our pocket. We're just looking for a hard surface at this point. And we're going to put in a water retention basin on the east end of that road to catch a lot of the runoff from that surface.
So you're full of traffic here. You'd be coming off of 61, basically going north or south?
Most of the truck traffic is going to be coming from Highway 32, I would believe, and turning in, so they'd be coming up the hill to turn in. That 60-foot entrance would allow enough room for a truck to be parked there and another one to turn in. However, you'd have to relocate the stop sign on Blaine now to stop before that intersection. So there'd probably be 2 stop signs there for people using Blaine Street. And we would obviously not let any trucks drive up Blaine Street toward Market.
So this traffic flow wouldn't be on around this way, it would be on...
Both. So this is going to be a layout yard for loaded and unloaded trailers, the ones that you can see off Market where we got the big rock pile right now. But that's also going to be a future building site. That's why we put all the roadway in. That roadway will not have to change elevations for us to put in the new building expansion.
So, but you're going to come down through here with trucks and then go back up?
No. If they come around here, if they come around the south side of the property, the north side of the property, it's only to drop trailers for pickup if they run out of room on the 10th Street parking lot. The road that comes around along Market is more future use.
Right.
We just did it while we had equipment on site, and we needed to do a lot of drainage control there.
So, but this truck traffic would come down through here and then go this way?
Mostly, yeah.
And this roadway will not connect to Coin Street,
Mary Ellen, no.
or Mary Ellen?
Correct.
Okay.
So Mary Ellen, we kind of, they've got a drop off at the end of Mary Ellen. We'll have to put some kind of a road barrier there so people don't try that or they're going to ruin their vehicles. This is 100% private drive. We just want city access to it.
But then the trucks that come on down through here, they'll turn around and come back out this
Yep.
way?
Yep.
Okay.
Our goal is to eliminate most, if not all, traffic on Market Street. Truck traffic. Yeah.
So will you have signage and stuff?
I think we would. We've got permission from Mississippi Line. You know, we've talked to them about this. You know, we are going to encroach on their property a little bit where that old tire shop is, just for our intersection. But we'd hope to be able to partner with them and get some type of signage there. We've talked to some of the guys there that make those decisions, and they didn't think there'd be a problem.
Something like truck entrance?
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. But we would ask the city to also have, you know, no parking signage on this street, because obviously you won't be able to get through with semi-traffic.
On the short section between 61 and your entrance.
Correct. Lane Street you can still park on, and, you know, there'd have to be curbing marked at the beginning as well with no parking. And Mark Reinhardt, who's a current neighbor there, who had bought some property from on the east side, the lower side of his property where this roadway turns around, he's 100% on board with this. He's been very supportive, and he knows that there's going to be traffic along the side of his house, but
So that's the property just on
south
this side of the road, south of him.
Yeah, if you
That's
face
a-
this
That's a
new-
homeowner that's, or whoever owns that house right there.
Mark
And
Reinhardt,
then Gettinger owns it's a rental house right next to it.
two of them.
Two of them he owns there.
Yeah. And we did some property improvements for him
Yeah, I
as
saw it.
well. We cleaned up some dilapidated building that he had and some broken foundations he had on some old parking areas.
So I drove through there yesterday, it looks great.
Yeah, thank you.
I haven't read all of your bid, but in the $75,000 number, I mean, you've got everything in there, cutting the curbs, replacing the curbs,
Yes.
or redoing.
Removing all the asphalt all the way out to Highway 61, because per MoDOT specs, you have to go back with 8 inches of mix. And then I think city specs here are 6 inches. So once it gets off the MoDOT right away, we'll reduce that to a 6-inch pavement. And that should support the truck traffic we'll be having on there too.
Is there a concern about the turn lane? There's no turn lane.
There is no turn lane, but that's not a concern.
There ain't a concern?
No. The line of sight there is very good. And with us not being opposing, you know, traffic from Mississippi Lime entrance, that's going to really help as well. But most of these trucks will take off south anyway down the hill, loaded.
I wish Mark was still here to answer this, but he had, you had mentioned that it was going to be a private drive. I'm not sure we can use taxpayer money for a private drive, can we?
No, it has to be a city street.
Yeah, it would only be the city street would access a private property, but it would allow the current homeowners to also access their properties. Because right now, we're landlocked in Mark Reinhardt and Ron and Annette Gettinger to get to their backyards if we make that a private drive. Obviously, we're
So
going to
your
work with them and give them an
proposal would be
easement, but
to make the, whatever, how many feet did you say it was? 200?
call it 250 for conversation.
To make that part of it a city street, but then from there on it would be private.
Yeah.
Which homes does it give residential access to?
The north and
Mark
south
Reinhardt
lots.
and Ron Gettinger.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It'd be kind of like Coin Street is now.
Exactly. Coin Street comes to us, you know, it's a city street that's not maintained by the city, and it goes to just our property.
But we just turned that over, right?
We did not yet.
Or, well,
It was in conversation,
we
but
talked about it.
yeah.
okay, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's pretty close on Gettinger's house there, I noticed that. But that's-
It is, yeah.
It's not a big deal.
And we've raised all the utilities and stuff that the city has through there to accommodate this pavement and everything. We've had a lot of expenses. We hit a lot of utilities that were not marked properly by the city as well. We did fix them and put them back in place. There's a lot of stuff hidden through there.
Is that water and sewer?
Oh, yeah.
Not, I mean, there wasn't anything like
No
water,
gas.
gas or anything, no. That's good.
Yeah.
So Happy, if this is something we decide to do, where does the $75,000 come from?
If it's a street, it would come out of your transportation budget.
Plus 25 for the property.
I'm sorry,
Plus $25,000 for the property. That's the initial goal here.
so it's 100,000.
It would be, yeah.
For me, I have no issues with the plans that they have here laid out, as long as the residents and the city hasn't found any reason for a road not to be there, so I'm completely fine with that. I do struggle with the city contributing financially to this because it is primarily to a private business. And just 2.5 months ago, I met with a dozen residents on one of my streets in my ward, and 7 years ago in the Herald it was published that their street was going to be taken care of, and it's not been yet. And so we're really struggling to figure out how to get Ward 4 streets that really need to be repaired in shape. So for me, in good conscience with my constituents that I've talked to, I can't bring myself to fund a new street that goes to a private business over finding solutions for my constituents. It's not to say never, but for me right now, my goal is finding funding for Ward 4. So.
I'm going to jump in here also and stuff. I mean, Greg, you and Phil, I mean, I very much appreciate what you've done down there because the property was getting very blighted. And being a neighbor down there, it helps all of us. The problem, you know, is the amount of money. $100,000 in our city budget when we only spend $200,000 average a year paving the streets, which we will never catch up with. We're gonna, somewhere down the road here, we're gonna have streets that we've already done falling apart. Again, I very much appreciate what you guys have done down there. I would appreciate additional jobs. All of the above. It's just that it's a lot of money. I wish we had more funds to work with. And the fact that, 2 years ago we didn't do any paving because we didn't have the funds to do it. The whole stormwater thing is a big issue and is going to continue to grow. It's just a tough, the $100,000 is a tough amount.
And one thing that I could potentially entertain with the city helping with is if that entrance at Blaine Street needs to be widened or reinforced in some way to help with the traffic, but it would only be, from my opinion, it would only be for that entryway. Continuing down the road towards the business, for me, versus trying to fix my constituents' roads. That's where I'm hung up at. Right.
Most of this is a money issue. Is there a way to spread this out over 4, 5, 6 years in the budget, and we finance it, and you guys would refund us each year X amount of dollars? Instead of trying to pay $100,000 now?
Again, you're taking away from whatever you do in the future. I mean, there's
and it'd be at the mercy of the future boards too if they revoke it.
Yeah.
Well, historically, we've only accepted streets for any development once they're brought up to city code. We've never.
That's if you do a transfer.
Well, no, I mean, I don't think we've ever gone into any kind of an agreement, whether it be for Valley Springs, whether it be for the Point Base Plaza, or Save-A-Lot, the bus service, out there with Save-A-Lot Drive. I wish Mark was here. I would like to know what the legal I mean, what legal precedent we've already set.
Because the only residential access that we're granting is additional to that. They already have access to those properties, correct? So this is just secondary access to backyards?
Yeah, we own the property, but we're giving them an easement.
Yeah.
Yeah, but all the rest of these houses don't have access. Every building lot in St. Genevieve doesn't have street access to the back of their property.
Well, no, I understand that, but the argument is that this is a public benefit, that it's removing the traffic from Market Street and everything else, and giving them one concerted place to go in and out of. So I mean, I see the public benefit.
It's a huge safety concern. You guys don't.
I mean, I can see that too.
And I can just imagine 3 or 4 trucks trying to get out at 3 o'clock in the afternoon when school's letting out at the top of Market Street. I mean, I get both ends of it, but I don't know if I'm ready to make any type of decision as to what to do on this without legal counsel.
So to answer your question, generally with a new subdivision, the right-of-ways are dedicated, and then the roads are put in. They're at the end of that construction. They are then dedicated to the city, and the city can accept or not. Usually there's core samples and all sorts of engineering that's done to prove that they've been put in properly into the city specs. Cities generally don't put in the road themselves.
So those streets then are just handed over at no cost to the city as normal?
Generally, yeah.
We have to assume maintenance of them. Whereas but this is a different type of agreement where keeping the trucks off Market, which we just repaved the top portion of fairly recently, or well, I mean within the last 10 years, there is a benefit to us to get keep those trucks off that street. And I mean, I can see both arguments here, but like I said, I don't know.
You know, personally, I can just see those trucks going on out to South 10th Street and back up Market if it's not restricted by a gate.
It will be restricted by management.
Yeah, but they're only going to try to make this turn once or twice, and they're not going to try it again.
There's thousands of trucks made that turn there by Deal Beauty House. Thousands.
They've scraped every time, too. Look at the wall.
It's much better than what it was when it got reworked many years ago and stuff.
Those were 48-foot trailers, not 53.
No, they were 53s.
But generally, the city could make improvements on any right-of-way that's already dedicated, whether that's state right-of-way, and then you just put it to their specs, and then our right-of-way. It's the same as facades of buildings. You generally don't have money for buildings to be redone unless it's the face, because that's the public part of it. So doing something that's not to the public benefit, you have to figure out what the public benefit of that is. And this is not an existing street, so you don't have any maintenance issues. You're then assuming those maintenance issues. And that's, I think, generally why you allow the developer to put it in and pay for it and then dedicate it, because then you have maintenance over the next 100 years. And we know what some of the streets end up like. It's just, that cost is what you have to assume eventually.
This is pretty steep back there too, elevation-wise, isn't it?
No, not anymore.
It's not anymore?
No, we moved over 12,000 yards of dirt.
I just remember when we talked about Chadwell and we did the entrance to 61 at Chadwell, we ended up spending an extra $25,000 to put concrete in there over blacktop because of the trucks starting and taking off. But Ashley, was your point basically to pay some of the cost up here, or?
Well, I mean, if we had to reinforce, I don't know I haven't looked at the condition of the road there, but they mentioned widening. You get what I'm trying to say.
Making it wider.
Tongue tied right now. Sorry. But they mentioned doing that, and so it's like if we had to do something to reinforce, I could potentially, be in favor of doing something right in this area, but to bring it down here. And I'll respect whatever, I'm not trying to sway any of y'all's decisions by any means, and I'll respect whatever you all want to do, but just with the conversations that I've had with people from my ward and knowing the projects and previous conversations and this potential road plan, for me, I can't prioritize it above those things right now. And it's not to belittle anything that you all have done or bring into the community.
You know, we're taking a building, guys, that's been sitting vacant for almost 10 years, other than loose and short stitch that they had in there, bringing all these jobs to town, all this tax revenue, all these building improvements, and adding all the safety of not having heavy truck traffic on Market Street and 10th Street. I mean, and all Buckeyes wants is you guys to help cooperate a little bit and help make this possibility, you know, come to fruition. These guys are going to be here for 30 years, and if we're not going to play with them, why would they want to stick around?
Yeah, like I said, I don't have a problem entertaining the idea once I know for sure we legally can. I don't know if we can, with it being a private road. I understand the public benefit, and I'm all for the public benefit part of it, even though that particular road has no public access. But like I said, it keeps them off our main road. I would like to base my decision based off what our legal precedent is and whether or not we can do this. And, you know, with the state, you know, what are they going to require, or is there any help that they can provide with the intersection on their right-of-way there? I mean...
Any state funding?
Well, yeah, anything.
So you're probably 2 years out from them being able to afford anything outside of what they've already included in their state transportation improvement plan. If not 5 years out.
You know, I can understand the safety issue. You know, at our property at Bloomsdale, you know, MoDOT made a big plain downright screw up there when they changed the whole weight scales and stuff, and now all of that road traffic that's on 00 comes right down 61 and right out there on Mill Hill and makes a mess, you know, of everything and stuff. You know, this is a tough one for me, you know, because I do understand the benefits, but I also understand the benefits of taking care of what we already have. This is tough.
And I could maybe entertain the finance idea. I just don't know the risk of the future boards and backing out on that. And
We would have to have it in place with your legal counsel and everything,
So-
nobody could revoke that contract.
But every year the board votes to either
continue contracts or not.
to either pay or to budget it. If they don't budget it, it doesn't get paid.
Yeah, so if
You can't commit a board over 1 year.
Oh, wow.
if we were all in agreement with financing it, the next board could have 8 new members, or 2 boards from now could have 8 new members, and they could say, that's not something we want to pursue, we'll cut our loss, you keep the road, and we won't ask for any money back.
Okay.
And so,
I'd say financing's not a wise move.
I don't think it's
Not on our
your
part,
best
no.
interest.
Yeah, I
That's
agree
what
with
I'm
you.
saying.
Yeah,
That's the roll of the dice. Maybe it'll go through, maybe it won't.
yeah, I
But
think on both sides, that
Yeah.
financing's not a wise way
Yeah.
to go.
Well, we know it's a lot of money, especially for the budget you guys work on.
Yeah.
We understand.
Yeah, because a lot of our road budget is kind of coinciding right now with our water line projects. And, you know, if we put these water line projects, we've got this year budgeted, but next year, if we continue on the water line projects, if we're not able to find extra funding for this, then we might have to take out one of those roads that is getting paved, so it's going to be a little choppy and just patched for a while, and that's kind of what we've been guiding our planning on.
you've seen the reports of our tax income. I mean, our tax income has been, you know, barely kept up with the cost of living and stuff over the last 10 years and stuff, so I don't know where, this is tough.
Are we hearing that without our participation, this won't happen? Is that what we're hearing?
Potentially. Yeah.
Probably.
I guess,
It won't be paid. I mean,
It definitely wouldn't be paid. You know, we spent a lot of money putting in place what we did, but
I guess, you know, one other question comes to mind and stuff is, this is kind of little bit of the cart in front of the horse thing and stuff. I mean, you went ahead, dug it all out, you went ahead and rocked it, and then bought the property, and then came to the city. I don't know if that...
Well, I move a little bit quicker than a meeting once a month, but, you know, we got to keep the ball rolling.
Well, when you're moving dirt in the middle of the...
Sure.
Right.
And this was a thought as the road project had started, so. I'm not saying we won't use it if it's not paved, but it won't be used near as much as if it was.
That's why I was asking about the traffic flow, because, you know, coming up there with tractor and trailers in gravel is tough.
That incline will be fine.
Right.
Yeah.
I didn't drive, I just drove in there and turned around in this little line.
You guys are all welcome to drive the property and see all the improvements. I mean, help yourself. People in this room, not the public. Yeah.
I just wish the whole thing was on the other side of the track, and I wouldn't have to try to contend with the railroad and their whole...
Well, I wish it would benefit you too.
Right.
Then you couldn't vote.
It's still counting.
I can still speak and ask questions. So I guess, Happy, this is just a work session, so what...
Can we get clarification from our lawyer on whether or not we can participate in this, since it's private property? Which,
Well, but he's
I mean,
asking...
it's going to be a private drive. I don't think we can expect...
No, he's
It's not a
asking
private
not to be
drive that you
private
guys are putting in. It's a
Well,
city
yeah,
street.
to a certain point, but I'm not sure. It's going to be a tough sell.
You're talking about past the end of the property, which basically, I mean, we would have to own that property to make it a city street.
And if we,
I mean, is that not...
Yeah.
I don't
right?
think it has the proper setbacks of new streets that we require of new streets, from the existing buildings, whatever curbing that's going to be put in.
Well, it's my understanding there aren't any setbacks, because I asked Happy that.
So the setbacks would be what's existing, because it was a lot in between, so whatever they were next to, if you would put a house in there, it would have been, that same distance.
And we already did provide our own setbacks. We're staying 6, 7 foot off of Reinhardt's and a couple feet off of Gettinger.
Would this change the street naming for that entrance of road?
Change it from,
Like if this was to be a road down here, like a named street, like,
so it would change from 61 in?
well, what,
'Cause we're
this
stopping
is
Blaine
Blaine Street.
I think all you're
Or
doing,
would it still be Blaine Street, or would it change to whatever this road is?
no, it'd still be Blaine Street, because all you're doing is reinforcing it
Okay.
and creating it
And it's coming off of that.
to another
Okay.
city street. But I mean, we're just looking at these, I don't have, design plans, so I'm not
I mean, I was just double checking that nothing would change with, like, GPS wise or something, you know what I mean?
Right.
I don't know all the ins and outs of that, it's just...
GPS doesn't work down there the best.
Well, I think, everything's been presented here tonight. We will get some clarification from Mark, and I think at the next meeting, we need to come up with a yes or no answer.
Right.
And that's simple, so they know where to go or where we're at. I think that's fair.
Right.
Made a great presentation, and
What's your input on all this, Paul?
well, I'm lining up to where my input is that I would love to see, as far as safety, is get the trucks off of Market. It's a busy enough street. I think it's a great idea and a great plan. If we had the money to do it, I'd be all over it, and I'd be doing it today. I mean, it's just a good idea. I appreciate the jobs, the business. I look at those as far as the public benefiting. We are benefiting. The public is benefiting. I sympathize with Ashley and what's going on in their subdivision. So I see that too, and it's just difficult. I wish we had more money to do roads. We need to, early on, I talked about a bond issue to do some more, and that got shot down, and the only way to make it happen is to more taxes, and nobody wants to hear that, and I understand that, but sooner or later, everything going up, and we're staying right here. It'll catch up to us too. you know, so. But we just have to, like I say, on this situation, that's where I'd love to see it happen. I really do. You know, at certain times of the day, at 3 o'clock and at 8 o'clock, you got bus traffic in and out of Market Street, and it's congested as it is. Now, we're going to put more truck traffic on there, so, yeah, I think this was a great idea. Like I say, I'd love to see it happen. I wish we could do it, you know, but it's not my decision, it's the board's decision, so.
Greg could, what Ashley had kind of talked about, I mean, if, hopefully this is not all or nothing, you know, thing on your part, but could we maybe get a number up here, you know, what that curbing and redoing what property the city now owns?
So the entrance to this side, to the east side of Blaine Street, so from 61 to
Right, to where
the far curb on Blaine
right,
Street.
I guess where the street ends, or where Blaine Street would end over here.
Yeah.
Some kind of number. I mean, I don't know if it's relevant to anybody else, but
If you guys want that, I can get it and have it for you for your next meeting.
Well, I'll go one step further than that, Bob. I suggest that we can make the decision fairly easy if we just go through the exercise of taking $100,000 in our next work session and pick streets that, you know, we're going to spend $100,000 one way or the other. So do we spend it here, or do we spend it on the streets that we already had scheduled? Because somebody's going to have hard feelings over. That's the decision that's, I mean, we can avoid it all day long, but
yeah,
that's the decision that we're going to make.
Well, if you're talking just the entrance, it's not going to be $100,000 anymore. It's going to be significantly lower.
And I was just kind of looking for some kind of medium and stuff, but I mean, I don't know, Mike, if you're in favor of taking $100,000 off of what we're proposing already. I'm not, and I'm only one.
I'm only one too, and that's what I'm saying. We've got to jointly make that decision, but that is what's on the table. I mean,
well, but I think there is some compromise. I mean, can't we come up with
That's what I suggested, if you want to do something on the existing right-of-way.
right?
That's a possibility. That is the property that we can improve without any issue of who owns it, who's going to own it, and, you know, improving something that's not already improved. This is already improved, it just needs to be brought up to a better standard because of trucks.
Will you have to go out for a separate bid on that?
Oh, yeah.
Well, it could be an alternate.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, again, this is a tough thing. I don't want to have to vote yes or no. If there's a compromise, I want to be able to look at it and, you know, see if there's something we can do. You know, we've sat here and we beat how to come up with growth and how to come up with different things, and then we stall. You know, here we have an opportunity, you know, for growth and stuff, and I think it's worth us trying to do something. $100,000, probably not, but if there's some compromise in between, you know, one to show good faith and to help out, I'd feel better looking at that than a yes or no on $100,000. That's just my opinion.
well, I mean, I don't dispute it, but no matter how I cut this thing up, that's what's being asked, I think.
Well, that's what's being...
Or an option to do something on a smaller scale,
Right.
you know, but if we know that, then we're being asked for A or B versus existing money set aside for existing things. We've got to explain that disappointment that somebody's going to feel when they look out their window at their street.
Yeah,
you know.
You know, and all realistic, unless something else happens, I mean, you know, this board is going to be the board for the following, you know, year and stuff, because the four incumbents are unopposed. Well, except for the one. But anyhow, that's test is uncontested and stuff, so
Unless there's a write-in campaign.
pardon me?
Unless there's a write-in campaign.
Right. But
And don't get me wrong, Bob, I'm not making
Yeah,
light of it. I'm not saying it's just a decision that you can make and not have feelings one way or the other, but in essence, that's what we're being asked.
And that's how the residents are going to look at it,
Right.
too.
Right, and it's tough to be in the seat and make that call, because definitely, I think, If money's not an issue, we should do this yesterday, but
Yeah, I was
money is an
surprised
issue.
because I did call Mississippi Line and I did go to the residents up there and they were all in favor.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so
Any-
that's
Well, and
positive.
4 months ago, I could have had a different approach to this, but I mean, just the number of conversations that I've had in my ward, for me in my ward, it's different.
But your wards, the streets in your ward are repetitive and all the wards and stuff. Every
Right.
ward needs,
Yeah.
If we're not talking streets and stormwater every time, then we're not really doing what they want us to do.
right.
So,
And that's what we're supposed to do, is
That's what
protect
we're
the
supposed to do.
taxpayers and the city and do what's
Yeah.
best for everybody.
yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, if you could come up with a number that, to me, that would be,
Our ears are open on alternatives, you know.
right.
I'm sure we can come up with something.
Yeah, we need to do something, that's for sure, I think.
Always like options.
Yeah, options are good.
Right.
I'd ask that before we just, table it or say no,
Right.
Yeah,
because that's not going to sit well with the company.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to say yes or no.
Well, there's got to be, we got to work out through something here.
Right.
We can't just forget about this. They brought this to us, and we need to either say yes or no, and it's a tough one. So, and knowing what you know about the board, maybe there's a possibility of busting this thing up for 2 years or something. And that way, it's not a big hit, still get some streets done, and maybe there's some options, maybe there's things we can do. 'Cause it's a great idea, and I understand that for the business aspect, get some trucks off the streets, it's just it's going to, like Joe's, going to save our street. That's a benefit, so.
Safety, we know it's safety.
Yeah,
Yeah, either way it goes, I think, controlling that truck traffic, because if they loop all the way around, I mean, I don't know, I guess there's room for them to turn back there around.
Oh, yeah.
Right. But I'll probably drive up there here the next day or so, kind of get I hate voting on stuff, but I don't know all the details.
What kind of job were you talking about, Greg?
40, 45 plus.
Any other questions? Greg, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Just with that, we'll adjourn our work session. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.